Who is the woman who once rocked all of Hollywood when she shed the image of being Tom Cruise's wife and rose to become a global superstar? Behind the glitz and glamour, however, her love life has been anything but smooth. Before we dive deeper, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Grab yourself a warm drink, maybe a cup of tea, or just some water, and sit back as we begin this journey together. Everyone knows that Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise were once one of the most powerful and captivating couples in Hollywood during the 1990s. They met in 1989 on the set of Days of Thunder. At the time, Nicole was just a young actress from Australia, while Tom was already a global superstar. From the very first moment, Nicole was drawn to Tom's confidence and magnetic charm. Tom, in turn, was captivated by the elegant beauty and mysterious aura of the red-headed girl from Sydney. Their romance took off like a whirlwind. Less than a year later, they tied the knot in a private ceremony on Christmas Eve. Their marriage became the stuff of headlines, admired by fans around the world. Nicole once shared that being in love with Tom felt like being swept into another world. In the beginning, their life together seemed picture perfect. They co-starred in movies, travelled the world, and graced red carpets hand in hand with dazzling smiles. Though they didn't have biological children, they adopted two, Isabella and Connor. However, behind closed doors, cracks began to form. Deep differences in belief systems sparked ongoing tensions. Tom was a devoted follower of a controversial religious organisation, while Nicole had been raised in a conservative Catholic family. Heated debates over parenting, faith, and lifestyle slowly chipped away at their bond. Nicole felt like she was living in a sealed box where every word and action was being watched. At times, she even suspected her phone was being tapped, and that those around her, including household staff, no longer felt like her own. Meanwhile, Tom drifted further into his own world. Nicole once recalled nights spent alone in their grand home, listening only to the ticking of the clock, questioning who she was really living for. Things reached a breaking point when Nicole noticed that people close to Tom began distancing themselves from her. Some individuals she had trusted turned on her, leaking stories to the media and spreading false narratives about their marriage. She felt completely isolated, not just from Hollywood, but from the very place she once called home. When the divorce was finalised in 2001, it sent shockwaves through the world. The official reason cited was irreconcilable differences. But the truth was, Nicole had simply grown too exhausted from living a life that no longer felt like her own. Some reports suggested that the pressures from Tom's religious affiliations played a major role in the split. And what hurt Nicole the most wasn't losing her husband. It was feeling increasingly estranged from the two children she had raised as her own. After the divorce, Nicole's contact with Isabella and Connor diminished significantly. She stopped appearing with them at major events, and they rarely mentioned her in public. Many believe that an invisible wall had been built between them, possibly the result of a realignment of loyalties, a process Nicole could never bring herself to fully believe was real. What do you think about their marriage? Share your thoughts in the comments below. After the deep wounds of her first marriage, Nicole Kidman once believed her heart might never be able to love again, but fate knocked on her door when she least expected it. At a formal event in Los Angeles in 2005, where she met Keith Urban, there were no fireworks, no thunderous love at first sight moment, just a quiet glance between two people who had been through a lot. What Nicole saw in Keith wasn't glamour, but a loneliness that mirrored her own. They started with late-night phone calls, not to talk about fame, but to share their innermost thoughts, their fears, their pain, and their longing for a fresh start. And when Keith showed up at her doorstep early one morning on her birthday, holding a gentle bouquet of white flowers, Nicole knew this man hadn't come to decorate her life. He had come to stay. They got married just a year later in an intimate ceremony in Sydney, where there were no paparazzi pushing in, only candlelight and heartfelt vows. But married life wasn't a fairy tale. Just months into their marriage, Nicole discovered that Keith was struggling with a hidden addiction. She didn't choose to walk away or point fingers. Instead, she staged an intervention, bringing him to a treatment centre, not out of pride, but because she believed true love means staying when the other person is at their weakest. Keith never forgot that he emerged from the darkness with immense gratitude. No longer the wild country star, Keith chose to slow down. He brought Nicole away from Hollywood spotlight to live in Nashville, a place where she could grocery shop without stairs, where they could enjoy quiet dinners and share little stories about their day. For Nicole, this wasn't just a marriage. It was a rebirth. For the first time in her life, she could be herself without fear of judgment. Keith treated her like a woman. Not a movie star, not a trophy. He listened to her stories, held her hand through media storms, and kissed her without caring whether cameras were watching. He called her his best friend and still got butterflies when she sat in the audience at his concerts, like a young man in love with the woman of his dreams. They have 2 daughters, Sunday and Faith. Nicole once thought she might never be able to have children after years of trying, but a miracle happened. She shared that becoming a mother with Keith gave meaning to all the pain of her past. He's the one who puts the girls to bed when she's filming. The one who turns down tour dates to stay home and garden with the kids. Every small gesture he makes quietly says, "I choose family." But their marriage isn't perfect. There have been times when Keith wrestled with his demons, faced his dark past, and Nicole had to be more than just a wife. She became the guardian of his heart. There were nights when he sat in silence, and she simply held his hand, saying nothing. But it was that silence that kept them together. Nearly 2 decades later, when asked what has helped her sustain this marriage, Nicole simply smiles. "Because I love him, like I've never loved anyone before." And Keith responds, not with promises, but with actions. Still sending flowers on every special occasion. Still waiting for her after every shoot. Still calling her my home. Beyond the spotlight, Nicole Kidman isn't just an Oscar-winning actress. She's a devoted mother whose heart is always with her family, no matter how packed her schedule may be. Motherhood didn't come easily to her. With the 2 adopted children from her first marriage, she experienced the pain of loving without being loved back, as differences in belief quietly built a wall between her and the kids. But instead of harbouring resentment, Nicole learned to let go, to find peace in silence, and to hold on to hope that one day those children would understand just how deeply she loved them. Entering her marriage with Keith Urban, she longed for another chance at motherhood, this time from her own flesh and blood. When Sunday Rose was born in the summer of 2008, it was nothing short of a miracle. Nicole had once believed it might never happen. After years of infertility treatments, prayers, and waiting, she finally held a tiny life in her arms. That first daughter melted the heart of a woman who had endured so much. Nicole didn't hire a full-time nanny, didn't hand her baby off to assistants. She wanted to raise her child herself. Every meal, every bedtime, every wobbly first step. With Faith Margaret, their second daughter, born via surrogate, Nicole experienced a different kind of motherhood, one filled with gratitude, emotion, and a hint of bittersweetness. She's never hidden how her daughter came into the world. Yet, she's always protected the privacy of the woman who helped her receive this little angel. To Nicole, motherhood isn't about who gives birth. It's about how you love, protect, and walk alongside your child through life. As a mother, Nicole doesn't chase the idea of being perfect. She doesn't impose, doesn't burden her kids with heavy expectations. She lets them be who they are, pursue what they love, and most importantly, learn to fail. She believes kids need to figure out how to get back up. Nicole has brought her children to film sets, but always reminds them, "This is my job, not your life." She keeps them out of the spotlight, avoids letting the media exploit their images, and never uses her family life for attention. For her, the simple moments like pancake breakfasts, bedtime, story time, or lazy afternoons curled up with a book are what truly nurture a happy childhood. Keith is always by her side as a father. They share every responsibility from comforting sick kids to doing school drop-offs. Some mornings, Nicole wakes up early to bake, while Keith strums the guitar for the girls. Their family has sweet little rituals, weekend picnics, painting in the backyard, or just sitting on the porch watching the rain. Nicole believes it's these seemingly small things that build the strongest bonds and raise children with warm, loving hearts. Despite her A-list status, Nicole has never placed career above family. She's turned down major projects just to be home during her children's finals week. She once shared that sitting in the audience watching her daughter perform on stage was more emotional than any award ceremony she's ever attended. For Nicole, the joy of motherhood isn't about sacrifice. It's about choice, choosing to step back just enough to be a little closer to her kids. Nicole Kidman is not only a world-renowned actress, but also a shining example of a courageous, gentle, and compassionate mother. Someone who consistently chooses love, peace, and family over fleeting fame. If you've been moved by her journey through motherhood, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any inspiring behind-the-scenes stories about the remarkable women of the entertainment world.